Welcome to Wisconsin in Focus. I'm J.D. Davidson. Pro-Palestinian protesters continue to dot college and university campuses all across the country. College administrators have taken a wide range of approaches to deal with that issue while attempting to keep free speech rights protected. There have even been different approaches in the University of Wisconsin system. Joining us today is Ben Yount, Wisconsin contributor for the Center Square. Ben, what's the latest at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and how is that approach different from what happened last week in Madison?
There's a lot of talking. I think that's the easiest way to explain this. UW-Madison took some action last week, but this week it's been a lot of talking from both the Madison campus and Milwaukee's campus. We filed the story this morning that Milwaukee's chancellor issued a pretty lengthy statement to protesters, to students, to faculty members, to staffers, to really everybody who's keeping an eye on this. And a good chunk of the statement was very respectful. We understand that you have a right to protest. We respect your right to protest. Protesting on college campuses has a long, rich history. There's nothing wrong with it. But, and all of these statements eventually get to the same but. You cannot camp out on college campuses. That pitching tents and spending the night, that's illegal. It can't be done. And this is the first time that Milwaukee's chancellor has taken the tough line of these tents are going to have to go. And I think the line was something along the lines of if protesters don't remove these encampments, the university is going to have to take steps to see that they are removed, period. And no one's saying what or how or when or just how much more room protesters are going to have to protest. But you get the sense that the talking is either a stall tactic by the protesters or it is an attempt by the university to win sort of the public relations war here of, hey, look, we tried. We gave these protesters every opportunity. We sat down. We listened. They came to us with demands. We told them most of those aren't possible. And at the end of the day, this became a student safety issue. And that's the theme that is coming up again and again and again and again in whatever statement, whether it's from UW-Milwaukee or UW-Madison or the UW president himself. They say the schools cannot continue to allow people to simply live on the quad in tents or canopies or barricaded behind plywood because it's one, unsafe, two, unsanitary, and three, it is absolutely clearly against the law.
So it kind of sounds to me like if I tell my kids you cannot leave your clothes sitting on the steps leading upstairs, but I don't take the clothes away or do something, the clothes are going to remain on the stairs.
Yes, this very much is anybody who has children has had this conversation with their child. And it gets to parenting styles. You know, are you then just going to clean up fine, I'll clean up the clothes. It's easier for me. Or are you going to frog march the children and say, pick that up, pick that up, pick that up, pick that up, take it to your room. And then you follow them to the room and you say, no. The clothes don't go on the floor in your room either. That's why I bought you that dresser. That's why there is a closet with hangers. Put your stuff away. Or are you one of the parents who the kids come home one day and their clothes are gone? And you say, well, I told you to move the clothes. You didn't move the clothes, so now you don't have any clothes. Congratulations. Here's a bag. Have fun wearing this at school. These are all of the sort of rainbow of responses. Eventually, what's going to happen is these tents are going to have to go. Graduation is coming up here in a couple of weeks. And I do not imagine that the university is going to want to have a ready-made campsite of angry protesters and students. And there's a difference because not all of these protesters are students. I don't imagine that any of these universities want to have an angry encampment there so that when mom and dad and grandma and Aunt Becky come onto campus, that's what they see. So eventually someone's going to have to come in and move these tents. And like we saw last week at UW-Madison, when it was campus police, the sheriff, and even the state patrol Some protesters stayed and fought, and some protesters got arrested. And so when it comes to that or else moment that the university has to deliver, there will be fights, there will be arrests, there will be screams and TikTok videos and all manners of breaking news. And I think that this is one of the reasons why the university has taken this much time to say, okay, we gave you every opportunity. We listened. The chancellor from Milwaukee, Mark Monet, listed some of the protesters' demands. They want a full divestment from Israel. And he explained that the university doesn't make any investments. The university's foundation does. And that's run by completely different people. The chancellor of the university has no power over where UW-Milwaukee's money's invested. He also said that the demand from protesters that police leave campus is impossible. Just from a public safety and a public service standpoint, you can't have 0 cops on a college campus. And so they're trying to win the PR war. Unfortunately, though, you know this. Everybody who's watched this knows this. The protesters want that battle footage. They want to be able to point and say, look at the brutality as these police officers came in with their shields and their riot gear. That's coming. And I got to say, it's coming before graduation day. So, I guess maybe stay tuned over the weekend when there aren't as many TV cameras.
I do encourage folks to read our story about this. I thought his statement was good. I mean, he laid out everything and explained everything and sympathized, and it was lengthy, but it made great points, along with the points that this is illegal. Mm-hmm. So at some point, we've got to follow up with this is illegal, but I feel like the university has gone above and beyond reasonable action so far.
And remember this is the University of Wisconsin. This is not Bull Connor in Birmingham, Alabama. This is not George Wallace standing on the schoolhouse steps. These are very liberal, education-minded. I mean, University of Wisconsin-Madison is one of the most liberal campuses in America. It certainly is the most liberal campus in the state of Wisconsin. And these are university officials who generally would side with the idea of people protesting, speaking truth to power.
So much so that I believe in the story, part of the statement was he talked about the valuable educational tools that come from these types of protests.
We had earlier in the week in Madison, faculty members walk out of class and make their own march down to the encampment zone and spend time with those students. The university is always, if you were to pull any Scotty off the street and say, hey, what's the most liberal place in the state? They'd say, campus of UW-Madison. Why? So for these university leaders to get to this point where they're having to almost with their arms in the air say, guys, we hear you. We can't help you. Now you gotta go. That shows the lengths to which they're going to try and, do what universities do, protect free speech, protect free thought. But this isn't about free speech or free thought or even the politics of the war in Gaza. This is about hundreds of people camped out in front of the library. And some of it's getting dangerous and some of it's got to be getting gross by this point.
We will absolutely keep up to date with this story. Ben, thanks for joining us today. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com.
Some people would call him a loser. He ran for state office. He was beaten. He started a business. He failed. He ran for Congress. He lost. He was nominated for vice president. He lost again. But he knew only those who never tried are the real losers. And Abraham Lincoln was no loser. Persistence. Pass it on. From the Foundation for a Better Life at Value.